Quotient. I'm your host, Kim Seltzer, a dating and makeover expert, where I will help you build confidence, make connections, and find love from the outside in. Are the same disappointing results happening in every romantic relationship of yours? Are versions of the same drama or person recycled as each new potential partner shows up? Despite your best efforts to attract someone different, you'll say to yourself, okay, this time he or she will be different. Or she is totally opposite of my ex. Yet in the end, you unzip the costume and bam, it's the same person again inside. If this resonates with you, then you have to recognize that your all-powerful subconscious mind is running your love life. Here's what you got to know. Your subconscious mind runs 95% of your life, and it regularly hijacks your conscious mind, the part of you that decides things, right? So if your conscious mind is telling yourself you're finally ready for a real and steady partner, but then your subconscious houses every imprint of all the times you've opened yourself up to love and it backfired, you're not only going to pair up with someone for an abundance of reason or excuses that might not be known to you. I've talked about this before, but just to remind you, there's a psychological term called the Familiarity Principle. And what that is that you'll always fall back to what is familiar to you, that is imprinted in your subconscious mind, good, bad, or indifferent. It's the brain's way of saying, oh, hey, I know this. Yeah, this feels familiar. So then you go back to what you know. This is how the subconscious overrides your conscious mind's desires. You're going to keep going on dates and not being attracted to anyone, or you'll pick someone who is not serious about intimacy. And you might wonder, why is this pattern keep happening? It's how your subconscious throws up roadblocks so you don't get burned again. Its main job is to keep you safe and it keep you happy from past experiences stored away. It tries to keep you in your comfort zone because there are no unknown variables in status quo, right? It's predictable, but it's also keeping you stagnant. It's incredibly powerful inner system that is often at odds and taking risks, being courageous and trying something new. But that is not easy, right? We always want to stay in comfort, but no one changes staying in a state of comfort. You only change when you're, uncomfortable. It deduces that you being single is what's going to accomplish that feat of safety. Then you're most likely not going to fall for anyone. Or if you do, it's going to peter out. I remember working with a client in her childhood. She had a father who was emotionally abusive and unavailable. So naturally, fast forward, every relationship she had was with men who were critical or emotionally unavailable. And she found herself constantly attracted to men who would eventually ghost her. And it would be like hot and heavy in the beginning and boom, they would be nowhere afterwards. And then the ones that were available, she just found boring. So we started working together and I told her that she was not allowed to get in a relationship in the beginning of our coaching together and instead to do something what I call data dating. Like she just needed to date up a storm, take notes, do my chemistry analysis and learn about her system, her unconscious. What happened is she fought me in the beginning and she's like, I'm just not attracted to these guys. I don't want to go out with them. I said, look, this is just like shopping. You don't have to marry them. They're not your boyfriend. Just try on different dresses and see what fits. Then one day she started interacting with a man and an amazing conversation started happening. And she's like, Kimmy, I've never felt this way in an exchange before. And she would laugh with him and found him very engaging and totally present. She almost didn't trust it. And then we kind of talked about the chemistry that she normally goes for, which is usually the physical part. And usually the guys that she would fall for had no emotional intelligence whatsoever. And so this guy, he had a lot of emotional intelligence. So I made her go out with him, even though she wasn't physically attracted to him. And she said, wow, that is the best date I've ever had. That guy became her long-term boyfriend. And that guy became her long-term boyfriend. And it was a man who wasn't her type. But the truth was that her type wasn't working for her. Well, it was for her unconscious mind to replay the old toxic tape. but she was willing to do the work and break the pattern and create a relationship that was emotionally available and reciprocal. What you believe within you, you create outside you. And there are ways you can partner with your subconscious mind. There are specific actions that can create alignment within you. And with me today is a very smart guy. He's amazing, who is going to help you with that. Former professional baseball player and author of the best-selling book, The Power of a Woman from the Perspective of a Real Man. He has been a sales trainer and keynote motivational speaker for over 25 years, helping people maximize their potential by harnessing the power of their subconscious mind. As an entrepreneur with his business, he has always focused on giving back to those in need and helping different causes around the world. And now with his company, MYB Publishing is introducing a new special universal edition of the book, The Science of Getting Rich. Welcome, Jay Noland. And the crowd goes wild.
Yeah, man, I'm glad to be here. What a great introduction. I just loved how you opened this up. You got this set up perfect, like from a baseball term. Now the bases are loaded. And here comes the fastball right down the middle. So let's knock this out of the park.
Oh my God. I'll try to pitch you the best I can without throwing a curveball at you. I actually want to start out because I love it. We connected on Clubhouse and it was so long ago, but you were so memorable. And this is what I always tell people, especially like when it comes to dating, it's the same thing. You drop these like bombs that were just amazing. I'm like, I have to get in contact with this guy, And so whatever you said elicited an emotional response in me. And so I know I'm so happy to have you. And I'm learning more about you as we were talking off air, but I would love to hear your story, just like how you got into all of this and even getting into the subconscious mind focus.
Yeah, what a journey. I grew up in Kentucky. I'm a country boy, came up on a hog farm. So I grew up what we call slopping hog. And to go where I went since growing up, now I'm 54 years old and traveling all over the world, have an opportunity to play professional baseball, been involved as an entrepreneur now, going on 27 years post-baseball. And so I had to get out into the real world. And that's what really forced me to start to have to deal with my subconscious mind because I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to have my own business. I wanted to be able to dictate my own life. And I started finding out that my level of personal growth was determining the success or the lack thereof of my businesses. So I went all in. First I was introduced, Kimmy, to, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I studied that book. I'm one of 3 people now that has their own co-branded version sanctioned by the Napoleon Hill Foundation of Think and Grow Rich. And because I dove in it, just like I played ball. So the discipline that I had to play professional sports, to become a professional athlete, I put that same discipline into entrepreneurship. But more importantly, I put that same discipline into personal growth and specifically into mastering my subconscious mind.
I love that. I know it's been really interesting talking to other, athletes who have a similar kind of focus as you. And I just wondered, was there ever a time that you like hit rock bottom and it didn't work? And, because most people like they listen to this and like, well, that's easy for him to say because he's this famous guy and he had the focus and the talent.
No, I'll tell you right now. See, the thing is, especially in baseball, if you're great, you're still failing 70% of the time. If you're great. So if you can get 3 hits out of 10, they'll pay you millions of dollars, which means you're failing 70%. So right there's a lot of failure. And I just did a video on my TikTok where I talked about why would you like to make professional athlete income? Everybody says, yeah. I said, most people think that professional athletes get paid to play a game. No, they don't. That's just a byproduct. You get paid to perform under pressure. That's the reason you get paid. But so I've hit a whole bunch of rock bottoms. Like when I lost my career, my roommate in 1995, my road roommate was Alex Rodriguez. I'm about to play next to Ken Griffey Jr. Here I've reached my dream. Then I blow my elbow out, rock bottom. And I was seeing a psychologist. I went to manic depressant. I was diagnosed as a manic depressant. Kimmy, they put me on Zoloft. Wow. I'm taking these depression type medication to be able, because I was so low. But let me tell you, that went on for about a couple months. And then a friend introduced me to the book, Think and Grow Rich and Personal Growth. And I stopped This is me. I don't recommend anybody else do this. Do this on your own time. I stopped seeing a psychologist. I stopped taking drugs, and I got busy filling my mind with building my subconscious mind. It changed everything. I haven't had to take a drug since. I've not seen a psychologist since. I've had more rock bottoms, but now I know how to be happy, kind of like on demand.
Yeah. And I want to get into that because I want to hear like how you do that and if there's some steps like other people can take. But I love what you said about like the rejection and failure. You know, you have to experience it so much. Because I always say, even with dating, you know, like you experience rejection. Everybody experiences rejection. But I see it more as experience, you know, and resilience. Because the more you do it, the more, you know, you just get resilient. And I just wondered, like for you, did it take a succession of times to keep failing until you are like, okay, I embrace it?
Well, I got married and got divorced. So, okay, so that failed.
Yeah.
Who the heck knows how to have a relationship anyway? You know, in school, grades 1 through 12, I mean, that's 14,000 hours if you do the math. Who's teaching us what class did you have? How many of us would have loved to have a Kimmy class that would teach us, here's the things you need to go through. That's why I love this show, because I'm like, Kimmy's teaching people how to have a relationship. And it's going to keep people together rather than apart. So nobody taught. So I had a failed marriage, tried to do my best to make it work, stayed in it way too long for guilt. But then I found my soulmate once I stopped settling. You know, I've been married now, remarried for, 10 years. And this November will be 10 years. I have a 7-year-old son. And, my ex didn't want to have kids. My wife, now I've got a 7-year-old beautiful son. And I believe that all came from me, I'm telling you, conquering what I believe is critical is my subconscious mind. People just have no clue overall how important that is. And I'm glad you're bringing attention to it.
Yeah. So, okay, let's get into that. How do you go about doing that? Like, what are some steps that people can take? Because when you're in that rock bottom or you're in that state of rejection and just feeling awful or the victim mentality, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to lift yourself up.
Yeah. I mean, listen, from 0 to 7, if you look at the great philosopher Aristotle, he said, give me a child until they're 7, and then I will show you the adult. Why did he say that? Because what happens to you from 0 to 7? It's been scientifically proven that from 0 to 7, your predominant subconscious mind is set up to run the rest of your life. So we got all these adults running around thinking that hey, you can't tell me nothing. I know what I'm saying. I'm thinking the way I want to think. This is my stuff. No, it's not. It's your 7-year-old self telling you what to do. Now, here's the problem with that, the challenge. You had no control. I had no control over what happened to us from 0 to 7. Nothing. Our environments, our parents, what kind of chaos, and everybody, I should say, most people have some type of trauma, even that early on. When I learned that, I said, oh, what can I do? So there's 2 approaches. You can have the bull rush approach, which is affirmations, auto-suggestion, where you can get up first thing in the morning. You can say very positive affirmations. It is critical that you do that at least. Before you go to bed at night, it's critical you do that. Why? The most important one is when you first wake up, because of where your brain wave is operating. See, brain waves work from 0 to 4 hertz per second. They call that delta. That's where you heal. That's where you grow, you restore. That's why it's important to get a good, deep delta sleep. Hardly anybody gets one. That's why people, in my opinion, are dying too early. Well, then you go from 4 to 8 hertz per second. You go into theta, kind of like a hypnotic state. When you turn 2 years of age, you move into theta. 0 to 2, you're in delta. That's why you're growing a lot. Okay, now you get 2 to 7. Now you're in theta, hypnotic state. That's why if I ask you, hey, what were you doing when you were like 3 years old here or 4 years old there? People, I don't remember. You were in a hypnotic state, but your brain was absorbing everything. Subconscious mind was getting everything. That's why I like my son. He's bilingual. My wife's from Colombia. And he goes in and out of languages, no problem. Spanish, English, no
cool.
problem. He has no problem. Why? 7 years old, he's in theta still. So what we do is we take that information, and then I learned what's called brainwave entrainment, where I put on a set of headphones with the correct brain waves and the right music and the right sounds, and I can condition my waves to be able to program them the way I want specifically.
That is amazing. Did you do this when you attracted your now wife? Like, did you use some of these tools?
I use some of this stuff.
Uh-oh.
I've got a
divulge
platform.
all of it.
I got a platform that it really it involves with love. It's a trip.
Oh
I
my
can't wait. I
gosh.
can't wait till you try it out.
No, I'm not only going to try it out, I'm going to tell everyone about like this is okay. I know everybody's like now totally tuning in. Okay. So we got this cool thing that is helping with the brain waves. Is there another step that people take after that, if they're in that state?
Here's what I tell people. I'm doing a course right now. It's going to be out in about 2 weeks. It's called Trauma Detox Now. Here's what happened. Being on Clubhouse for the last year and a half, I was in some high level rooms. We did a couple of women's rooms for 24 hours and one for 72 straight hours, so 3 straight days. And the dominant thing I found during my time on the platform is that almost every single person is dealing with some type of trauma. If you just let people talk, which is what I love about that platform, let them talk. You're going to find out eventually people are going to come out and they're going to start crying. They're going to start talking about something that happened to them in their past. So I'm like, you know what? People probably need to deal with their trauma first. So I've got a program. If somebody wants to go, okay, the brainwave thing, maybe that's a little different for me. All right, here's a program, video program where I'll walk you through. Now, the shortcut is what I do, and I did for me, is I just put my headphones on every morning. So I put my headphones every single morning, and I'll give you a quick sample. This is, this is Kimmy's show, so you never know where this is going to go. Right? You never know where this is going. You never know where this is going to go. Need more sound
effects with this. Right? No, you're
okay. So you're just going to get a snap of this. It's a snap, right?
Okay. There it is.
Okay, now. Now you might think you're just hearing good, incredible, beautiful music, which is, we do have that.
Yeah.
But inside that tone is a certain theta wave. And that theta wave right there is for positivity. So we program, which I know how to do now, specific waves. And that one I want to be theta because I want to really get in there deep. And I want to do positivity, but I created a foundation platform that has 3 phases. You put your headphones on once or twice a day. It's only 11 minutes. And the first one's called Deep Restore. It deals with trauma in the past. My trauma was my dad shot himself when I was 7 and I was close by. He lived through it.
Oh,
I don't even think you knew that.
No, I didn't.
So he lived through it. And he did it in front of my mother with me close by. Very traumatic, right? Oof. Okay, I made it through it because of love, because of my grandparents that helped me. 40 some years, Kimmy, I want to ask my dad, why did you want to leave me? Every time I look at him, all these years, even though we got close, and I always look at him and go, why did you want to leave me when I was little? Finally, I got the guts up and I asked him, Dad, sitting in my kitchen, I'm about 47, 48 years old. I go, Dad, that time you shot yourself, why'd you want to leave me? He put his head down. He looked up, his eyes were full of water, tears. He goes, son, I was just being young, dumb, and stupid. I was trying to keep your mama from leaving me. He walks over, grabs me, squeezes me, says, I'm so sorry. Now that put me into a weird state. I was like, wow. He didn't know what the hell he was doing. So I wanted to go figure out, even though I went through that with my dad, it gave some relief. I had this thing in me with my dad, and my mom left and abandoned me the next year because she's trying to get away from my dad. So that had this bitterness in me. So I built the program for me. People ask me all the time, how powerful is it? I say, after 21 days, I had no more of that bitterness. It went from bitterness to empathy and understanding to my dad. Our relationship's like that now. All that bitterness with my mom leaving and that abandonment, it just went away. So I built a 3-phase, a deep restore. I built a entering, now you entering, and then I built an elevate so you can really start to experience the way you're supposed to be thinking subconsciously. That's my foundation program. I built that for me. And other people can use it if they like.
It's beautiful. You know what I love what you just said, and thank you for sharing that, by the way, just the vulnerability of your past and even what you shared in the beginning and how you stayed in that relationship longer than you should have. It was hard for you to let go. And there's a lot of correlation with, people who have had abandonment stuff go on,
Yep.
right? Staying in things too long because you don't want to experience that abandonment again, and it's a subconscious thing. But what I love, right, what I love about what your program does is obviously, like, we can sit here and talk about it, but there's something that also needs to happen in the body that regulates and shifts patterns. And whether it's using what, the tools that you have and then the things that I incorporate in my coaching, it's like that puts people in a state of action that's different. It's breaking a pattern of some sort. It's so interesting and powerful. I'm going to segue into something that kind of funny, quirky, but like, can you program these things into like any state? So like if someone wants to feel like sexy and attractive, can you program that?
Yes.
Ah,
We got some of that stuff. You go to confidencetones.com, you can see I got different pillars.
Yeah.
So we got different things. I have a 6 pillar. It's pretty much dial up what you want in these 6 pillars. 6 pillars deals with your social, your emotional, your mental, your physical, your financial, and your spiritual. So it's got 4 modules in each one. So it kind of covers pretty much whatever's going on in your life.
Oh my God. Had I known that you had this program, I just did a retreat called Spark Your Sexy with these women. And every time they would enter the room, I would put on Latin music and have them like dance. And we did salsa dancing. And so, but it was the repetition.
And
so
how did they respond?
Oh my God, amazing. And in fact, when I didn't have it on day 3, they're like, Kimmy, where's the music? And they're like, they're walking. I created monsters. They had, let me tell you, they had cat ears on, they had red lipstick
Really?
on. Oh, they were doing the catwalk. But if we coupled it with your programs, oh my God. I mean,
I was sitting there right now, went over and I went to my social platform. I got a tone called Attract, Finding Your Soulmate.
Oh,
I got one called Cheer, Finding Happiness. Inside of that, here's another one called Tantalizing, Libido Support. And I got one called Amor, Love Life Support. Ooh. So that's just inside of the social. I was looking at that. I was going, man, she's talking. This is kind of like making me think here.
I mean, what a tease, and a great tease. Okay, everyone listening to this, everyone's cat ears.
That's what happens when you get around Kimmy. You putting on ears, and you start dancing.
Oh, heck yeah. And now we got the brainwaves going. And oh my God, we're going to create some sexy souls over there. This is amazing. On another note, I wondered, are there ways that also the subconscious mind can sabotage things? Yeah. And I wondered, like, if you've experienced that and how you help people get over that. Because sometimes people are so programmed into like sabotaging themselves.
Well, you think about the 0 to 7 thing. So if you went through like what I went through, I believe that's why my relationships would always fail. I'd figure out a way, or they would I would attract arguments. Things would be kind of going good. And you figure out a way, like you say, to self-sabotage. So what I really understood is that being what you said, 95% of our whole life is being ran by our subconscious mind. Well, if we can get that to get into agreement with what we want. So what I do the best, people say, what do you really do the best? I help people get their subconscious mind to believe what their conscious mind wants. So if you say, I want something, you say, I want this type of person in my life. You see, if you just start thinking right, then that person is going to appear. It's almost guaranteed, almost, again. If you just start thinking right and stop beating yourself up, that person's going to appear. Well, here's the challenge. Once they appear, do you have the subconscious, I would call it maturity, to see them when they appear? Because a lot of times they appear, like you said with that young lady.
Yeah.
And she couldn't see it because your subconscious is throwing all these bullets out. Well, if you get involved in what Kimmy and I are talking about here, and you got to have somebody coaching you along, and then you add some of these other tools, when they appear, you will see them and you'll take the right actions. And that's what I do. I got my soulmate, period.
Do you do visualization with that too? Like when you're like, you'll say it out loud and you have the intention, do you also see it?
Yeah, see it. Yeah. You have to visualize what that person is. You can like almost dial this in. It's like I taught, we did this book, The Science of Getting Rich. Well, the reason we redid that book is because Wallace D. Wattles is way ahead of his time. 1910, he writes his book. Rhonda Byrne says that's the reason that she created The Secret is because of that book. It took her 90 minutes. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
That's the secret behind The Secret. And Rhonda Byrne said in 2004 that she read that book in 90 minutes and immediately inspired her to create The Secret.
That is so cool. And now The Secret's divulged here on the Charisma Quotient. I love that. Yeah. What's also interesting, because I feel like money and love are so intertwined, and like having the abundance mindset in dating and relationships, and you can apply that book, that concept, relationships. Yes. For sure.
Absolutely. You know, what he teaches in the book, I'm going to quote it. You guys are on the podcast. Y'all can go back and re-listen to this. You want to memorize what I'm going to tell you. Here you go. There is a thinking stuff from which all things are made, which in its original states permeates, penetrates, and fills the inner spaces of the universe. A thought impressed upon this substance creates the thing that is imagined by the thought. Humans can create things in their thoughts, thus having them come to form if they impress them and hold them on this formless substance. So now I talk some big words because I'm talking 1910 language. Okay. The thinking stuff is what everything is made of. It's an energy. And you got to decide it's monistic, means everything is connected. This computer, the microphones, everything is connected. Okay. Now that it's connected and you understand that, whatever you think, this energy, you can see it all around you. It is constantly trying to create and multiply. All you have to do is look at the grass. It's not happy just being one blade. You know, you can put a little bit of seed of grass down and you leave it, it's going to go and multiply. You put a tree, it's going to grow. It's going to produce more seeds to create more trees. And it doesn't feel guilty. So we as human beings, somebody has taught us to feel guilty by being prosperous and having abundance and having happiness. That's against this thinking stuff. So if you start thinking right in what he calls a certain way, and you go, everything I think is going to come to be. And this thinking stuff, it permeates, it's everywhere, which means good or bad, it's going to happen. And for most people, when they don't listen to training like Kimmy's given, you're not going to be thinking right. And you're going to keep attracting the wrong person into your life because your thoughts are constantly impressed upon this thinking stuff. And I'm going to bring it down to you. The thinking stuff is the air. How can you get away from air?
I love that.
But where's it at? What's the thinking stuff? It's air.
Right.
And people go, for real? I go, okay, wind. Can you see wind? They go, nope. I said, is it there? Yep. How you know? I can feel it. What's wind made up of? Air. Okay. Air is everywhere. You can't get away from air.
Yeah.
And air is got an energy that creates whatever we think.
You just got to breathe it.
Now, when I breathe it, I'm thinking, what are you thinking right now? So what's Kimmy thinking right now?
Oh, what Kimmy thinks. I am thinking of relaxation and happiness, energy.
Okay, so let's me and you think of nothing else other than happiness, relaxation, and great energy. Let's don't think of nothing else but that. So what is it that we have a total of if we think of nothing but that? That's it. We have just that.
That's it.
And so he says the only time there is now. So being that if I just think like that right now, and all of a sudden something happens and I get caught off guard a little bit, he goes, cast that aside as a sin. Come right back to now.
Okay, that is so fantastic. And I don't know if you've heard me talk about this, but this is something I hone in on all the time because a lot of people, when they walk into a room or they walk on a date, they're so riddled with stuff that's going on in their head that they forget to be in the now. They forget to be in the present. They forget to connect with the person in front of them, and which takes them out of the connection. And that's why they come back from an interaction or date, or, oh, I didn't feel the chemistry, or, oh, I just didn't feel anything. Right. Because you weren't in it, because you're so riddled with things that are going on from your past or worried about what other things are happening in the future that you're not in the now. And so when you just talked about that is just huge. Like just breathe the air and feel the happiness, the positivity. Like that's
all
it.
there is. Like I'm here now. I'm with Kimmy on this show. I love being here. I'm with this powerhouse woman with this great show, and I'm so happy. So I have no time for nothing else. I'm just now with you. And when I get done talking with you here, I'm going to keep myself in a similar state no matter what. Oh, and you know what, Kimmy? But when I go on, if I were to go on a date, I'm sitting there thinking about, okay, Kimmy talking about dating. If I was to go on a date and I stayed in that state, I don't have to give my power to somebody else. I can have a blast right there.
Yeah.
And I don't have to feel insecure about, even if I'm like, I'm not attracted to them. So, but I'm here now and I'm happy and I'm loving this. You don't have to fall for them, but you have to have a great time right now. And that is going to increase your chances of who comes to you. The person sitting across from you. If you want the soulmate to show up, you got to become your own soulmate first.
Man.
That was inspired by Coach Kimmy.
And that is exactly it. And what, just to like kind of play back to a lot of stuff, what you just said is that because you are so present and I feel your energy, it inspires me to be just as energetic and positive. And that's how dating is. That's how relationships are. You know, it is a give and take and it's a dance between two people. So I just could go on and on with you. I'm like looking at the time, like, how did we get here already? All right, Jay, I'm going to have you back for sure.
Oh, man, this is awesome, man. This show is awesome.
No, you are awesome. And I mean, you have had so many gold nuggets here. But are there any like kind of parting words of wisdom that you want to leave everyone with? And please like let everyone know where we can find this beautiful stuff that you have.
If you go to confidencetones.com, you can grab the tones. But if you go to jnolandmastery.com, you can see all the different stuff that I got. All the courses and the materials and books and everything is there. I just came out with a new platform called XP Mentor, which I've got people like Forbes Riley that's working on the platform. We just got Ricky Chang. He's got 5 million TikTok followers. So they're coming on. And so I've got different mentors that's dropping different items of life. And, and so we're going to be asking Kimmy to come in and drop some content and speak to some folks about dating because everybody needs again, I just came in here hot because I'm staying in the now. I didn't come in here preparing. I'm here right now and I'm inspired because what you do is critical. I just want to thank you. I honor you. I'm in this moment and I love this vibration I have with you right now. And I just want everybody to really feed on that. Like, don't take this for granted. When Kimmy's creating this type of space, I just think that everyone needs to support your space by using your material, spreading the word, make some deposits. That way you can make some withdrawals. I want to deposit into you. And then I know that's going to create greatness for me. Thank you, Kimmy.
Oh, thank you so much, Jay. And I feel so much the same about you. Thank you for your inspiration and motivation. Just your story is inspirational too. Thank you for joining me today, you listening. And this has been the Charisma Quotient. I'm your host, of course, Kimmy Seltzer. And remember, you can build confidence, make connections, and find love from the outside in. And if you want to know more, make sure you go to my site, kimmyseltzer.com. And if you find yourself repeating bad dating patterns and want to override them to attract an abundant love life, hop on a call with me to help map out a plan. To do that, just click the link you see in the show notes to schedule that. And who knows, that one call could change the entire course of your life. And remember, working on you is working on your dating life. That's all for now. Hey, everyone. This is the Charisma Quotient. I'm your host, Kim Seltzer, a dating and makeover expert, where I will help you build confidence, make connections, and find love from the outside in.